In my previous video, I shared about manifestations of child wounds. You do well to check it out. Take a moment to reflect about the kind of relationship you had with your parents. Do the memories take you to a good or a bad place? Our parents play a critical role in how one grows up, as they are part of the formation of our emotional and psychological growth. If you manifest with child wounds, it is proper to start your healing journey that will eventually transform your relationship and life in general. Considering child wounds took time to develop, healing also takes time, and one needs to be deliberate and committed to the process. So how do you work on healing your child wounds? First, start to and genuinely care for yourself. What is it that lights you up or makes you happy? What unsettles you or makes you blue? What do you enjoy doing for long hours? What bounces you back after a moment that put you down? Imagine you are parenting a small child and treat your inner child in the same way, because it is you who knows what he or she needs. You parent yourself and be the parent of your inner child. Would you push this child to do things he did not want, or when he is extremely exhausted? Would you love putting the child in a situation that completely overwhelms him or her? Would you force him to be around people that make him uncomfortable? Would you judge or look down at him for having negative emotions or making a mistake? Would you repeatedly break the promises you make to him? Would you hold any mistake he does and keep reminding him constantly for years to come? I believe your answers to these questions are no. So why do we find ourselves doing all these things to ourselves? Because of the unhealed wound the inner child is experiencing. Somewhere along the way, we got the message that something was wrong with us, that if we could just be better, the ones we loved would keep loving us. When you stop seeing yourself in this negative way, it is much easier to begin deeply loving and caring for yourself in a way that was probably never demonstrated by an adult in your life. Get into a habit of asking yourself as many times in a day, what do you really need in this moment? If you need space from something or someone, find it. Care for yourself as much as you want and as much as you can without any guilt or fear of obligation. Child wounds tell you that you're not worthy, you don't matter, and you are unlovable. How often do you say kind things to yourself? Do you encourage yourself to try new things and challenges? Do you notice your progress and effort? Do you comfort yourself in healthy ways when you're sad? Do you value your self-care? Do you surround yourself with supportive people? Do you invest in things that will increase your happiness, health, and well-being? These are just some of the loving things you can do for yourself. If you can actually treat others with care and love, then you can definitely do that for yourself as well. It just takes intention and practice. Second, learn to identify the voice of your inner child. Did you know that sometimes we are a reflection of how our childhood was, through our behaviors, reactions, and how we relate with others? So, although physically one is an adult, the wounds of the inner child continues to play out in the unconscious or subconscious mind, influencing a number of aspects in their daily life. As we grow, we develop specific coping mechanisms that sort of protect us from the pain and trauma we experienced as a child. This, however, does not mean the pain disappeared. It actually reappears when triggered. It is therefore very important to note that it is critical to identify the voice of our inner child, especially when experiencing extreme emotions or painful emotional triggers. When you experience these extreme emotions, give yourself space to experience them without being too hard on yourself. Ask your inner child, what is it that you need to feel safe? And how can I care for you at this moment? Whatever the answer may come, be it a memory or a feeling, allow it in any form it comes. Take your time and reflect on the messages your inner child is communicating. And it could be helpful if you can do something like writing down or going for a walk to process the information. See this as an opportunity for healing. The more you acknowledge the communication from your inner child, the more you work towards healing and incorporating the wounded parts of yourself. Third, rewire your thinking. In order to heal from the wounds, we need to correct our false beliefs that we continue to believe and use to define ourselves. You can use words like, my childhoods are not my fault, or my caregivers were not able to understand and attend to my emotional, physical, or psychological needs. That was a falling on their part, not mine. This helps. Fourth, acknowledge your pain and validate it fully. Allow yourself to feel the pain. Don't run from it. Identify healthy coping mechanisms. When do you act out? Observe that part of you that is trying to compensate for the hurt experienced by the child wound. The part of you that is trying to talk to your inner heart, the wounded child. Affirm yourself. You can say, I am here for you. You are safe. And I will never abandon you. Ask your inner child, what do you need from me? Then meditate or listen to the inner self to receive the answer. Make your inner child feel loved, seen, heard, validated, accepted, encouraged, and enough. Change from negative to positive self-talk with positive affirmations like, you're worthy, I love you, and let yourself feel. The more you allow yourself to experience the feelings of pain, the quicker it will be for the healing process. Be your own cheerleader, always. Fifth, reparenting. This is treating your inner child as the loving adult would treat a child. At some point, you have to give your adult self what you didn't get as a child. Treat yourself as a loving parent would to a child. As a child, one depends on the parents for everything and emotional support. If we miss this from our parents, we are likely to struggle with these issues in adulthood, as these are not skills anyone is born with, but rather skills one learns from their caretakers. Sometimes, our parents did not meet our emotional needs. They did not teach us about healthy relationships, good boundaries, self-compassion, and trusting our feelings, often because they don't know how. No one taught them either. It's not too late to learn these skills and give yourself what your parents couldn't. Sixth, channel your inner child through writing and journaling. This is an empowering exercise which opens up a safe space for your inner child aspects to express themselves through you. You may use guided questions for journaling like, what would you like to communicate to me? Is there a childhood memory or experience you wish to remind me of? What are you asking to be healed? Trust the process and give yourself permission to write everything that comes up without judgment. You can also write a letter to your object of abandonment. Tell him or her all your feelings and sadness, anger, rejection, confusion. This letter is not to be given to the person. It is written in order to process your feelings. Alternatively, you can write a letter to your wounded child and feelings of longing as well. Rather than focusing on the person who hurt you, focus on the feelings themselves. Sit with your feelings and experience them. Perhaps try writing your feelings down. Once you are aware of them, you can meet the more of your own needs, and you can take the uncomfortable yet essential step of telling your loved ones what you need from them. 7. Get comfortable expressing yourself. Normally, children express themselves freely without any concern about what anybody thinks. As one grows up, we get to pick beliefs about ourselves as a result of how others talk to us or treat us, which blocks us from being our true selves. Thus, we end up becoming wounded, fearful, and learn that it's not safe to be in the world. These wounds keep us caged in. We reject ourselves by pretending to be someone we are not, just to please others. This is a painful existence. Give yourself permission to freely express yourself as it enhances your healing. 8th, share and talk through your original wound experience with someone you trust, preferably a professional. We mostly avoid talking about our wounds because we are afraid that talking about it will lead to more blame and rejection. However, when you talk about our wound or shame to a safe or trustworthy person, the pain begins to lessen. A trusted friend or a therapist will be a good choice for this. A therapist may provide a safe space and help you challenge the underlying false beliefs that have been supporting your shame and wounds. 9th, start making authentic decisions for yourself. One of the manifestations of child wounds is the inability to make decisions for oneself. Are you the kind of person when asked something you say yes, even if you don't want to, so that the other person keeps loving you? As an adult, you have to remind your inner child that all is well, even when you have to disappoint others. This will definitely take practice and consistency, but most importantly, listen to your intuition and gut feeling. Before you do something or agree to do something, ask yourself, does it feel right for you? Do you feel excited about it? Or do you already feel some resentment just at the thought of it? It is okay to disappoint others. It is okay to end something. It is okay to not be the savior. It is okay to not be the one that everyone depends on. As much as doing all these things, even when you're not willing, gives you the assurance that no one will leave you because they depend on you, but you will not have inner peace. It is also communicates to others that you do not love yourself. You will not experience true joy in your life if you keep operating from the scared inner child. Everyone is an adult, and you don't have to make decisions or do something because others want you to, even when you don't want to. This is a good way of communicating to your inner child that he or she matters and the world won't crash down when you make a decision that disappoints others. It is good to note that sometimes our parents were good people who are not able to be good parents despite their efforts and good intentions, because probably they did not know better. They could probably also be wounded, hence carrying family patterns. Now that you know better, work on your healing to stop the generational wounding, because after all, we are humans, born to human parents, and it's easy to pick patterns along the way as we grow. I promise that whatever you want to heal is neither too small nor too big for repatterning and help, but it will take time, and always put in mind that making even the tiny inch of progress can help you move miles over time. In the end, no matter whom or what hurt you, no matter how affected you are or you were, you still have a life to live. You can still thrive in life, find hope and love, and live well. You do this by honoring your feelings, acknowledging your wound, validating the consequence, and intentionally working towards your healing and enjoying life.